Shall we wait a little or start, James?
Just wait a minute or so, yeah,
Okay.
maybe. Yeah, we can start, Monica.
Okay, perfect. So welcome everyone to today's session. And before we begin, let's take a moment of silence to invoke Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's presence. So, with immense delight, it's always a delight to introduce James, and it's beautiful to work together with James also at NAMAH. And I think if I say James is truly a child of the mother, that would be nice because that's who he is, and always marching forward. One workshop is done, and then he thinks of the next, and then the next are ready. So it's beautiful how he plans so many events and takes care of the publication of the journal also, coordinating so many people around. Inspiration, really, truly. And recently, James has also authored his own experiences as a book, and I would like to maybe share this book in front of you all. It's called A Torch in the Dark. It's available for those of us on Amazon. It's available, and there's also a look inside, so we can look, go through the book, and maybe, yeah.
Yes, Don wrote a
Yeah.
review of it. Yeah,
Okay,
Don
beautiful.
Salmon. Yeah.
So I would recommend, if those of us who are interested, they can buy it online. And today's topic is the fire of purification. And I'm hoping and believing that with all sessions of James, as they are very experiential and practical in nature, today also will be benefited, and may all of us embark more forward on the path after this. Over to you, James.
Thank you, Monica. Yeah, and welcome everyone to, I think it's the 10th session of the Path of Purification. It's been a very joyful experience for us to hold this program, organize it, and get all the speakers together. And hopefully you found the presentations to be of good quality. So today's session will be like a practical session. I want you to experience the practice in this 1 hour and get some sort of insight into the practice of integral yoga, because the fire of purification is like a cornerstone of integral yoga. It's the sort of like it's the whole representation of the process of purification. And this fire of purification, where does it come from, do you think? Because it's really something that is nurtured by our aspiration. By our aspiration. I have some lines from the mother here, and I'll read them. Above all, it is the will for progress and self-purification which lights the fire. The will for progress. Those who have a strong will, when they turn it towards spiritual progress and purification, automatically light the fire within themselves. And each defect one wants to cure, or each progress one wants to make, if all that is thrown into the fire, it burns with a new intensity. And this is not an image. It is a fact in the subtle physical. One can feel the warmth of the flame. One can see in the subtle physical the light of the flame. And when there is something in the nature which prevents one from advancing, and one throws it into this fire, it begins to burn, and the flame becomes more intense. So it's beautiful, isn't it? This fire needs our presence. It needs our attention. It needs our aspiration. If we sort of like neglect it, the fire will wane away, and if with prolonged regret, it could even become our spiritual downfall. So this fire is something that's very precious to us. If you don't relate to a fire, you can always relate to the mother because she is always there and she can fulfill the same function as the fire. Absolutely. And even instead of tossing all our defects or our impurities or our stains onto the fire, we can just lovingly look into the eyes of the mother in a photograph and just offer there, just like that, just as effective. For the inner flame to burn, one must feed it. One must watch over the fire, throw into it the fuel of all the errors one wants to be rid of, all that delays the progress, all that darkens the path. If one doesn't feed the fire, it smolders under the ashes of one's unconsciousness and inertia. And then, not years, but lives, centuries will pass before one reaches the goal. So quite a warning, isn't it? Yeah. So this fire needs to be tended to always. It needs to be stoked by aspiration. We need to be present with it. We need to be conscious of it. If we're conscious of this fire, if we tend to this fire, it will burn brightly. And as the mother says, the best way to stoke this fire, the best way to get this fire galvanized is to just toss all our defects, all our doubts, insecurities, fears onto this fire. And don't just look at it as tossing all the thing that's bad about you. You can toss everything into the fire because we are a complete mixture. We're a complete mixture. Even our virtues are mixed up with our defects. Even what we consider to be our virtuous characteristics are usually nothing more than fronts for our ego. So really, we can put everything into the fire, everything. Virtues, defects, everything. So let's get a little bit of experience of this fire. Let's try to get an experience of this fire and witness its workings, okay? So I ask you to close your eyes. And look deep within the heart. This fire is an aspect of our psychic being. So look deep, deep, deep within the heart. And just see what is there. Invoke the mother's presence while you turn your gaze inside. You can yearn and aspire for what you're seeking for. Go deep, deep, deep inside. This fire is really like a frontal aspect of the psychic being. And the psychic being exists in a different dimension. It's like you have to cross a sort of like you have to go deep, deep, deep inside and cross a threshold, an invisible, sublime threshold to realize the psychic being. I'm not asking you to realize the psychic being because that can take a long, long time, but basically we can get a feeling for this fire. We can feel the warmth. We can see a picture and an image. We can see it. We can feel it. We can feel the presence as we get closer and closer to it. Just look and see what's there. This fire is our best friend. It's always with us. It's always there. And it's our the most noble aspect of our being. Just go deep, deep, deep inside. Through the folds of your nature. Through the folds of your heart. Into the core of your being. And just observe. Holding the mother's hand as you do this. Just observe what's there. And this fire has a purpose. It's the fire of your aspiration, but it's the fire of your self-purification. It's there to really, really help you. It's your biggest ally in life. And look back on the past day or the past few hours. And try and recognize those times in the last few hours when you've done something, when you've thought of something, or when you felt a movement that was contrary to your highest aspiration, your highest sincerity. Maybe a fear, maybe a doubt, maybe a sense of bitterness, sense of anger, irritation. Whatever it is, whatever you've experienced which is contrary to your highest aspiration in the last few hours, just throw it onto the fire. And even when you think you've done something rather good in the last few hours, put that on the fire as well. This is a very dynamic process. And the sooner you respond to any movement that arises, the sooner you intercede with any wrong movement or any good movement, any movement, the sooner you respond, the more dynamic the process will become. If you let these movements stagnate and fester inside you and then offer, it serves a purpose, of course. But it's much better to be proactive and offer, reject these movements as soon as they arise. So throw everything onto the fire. Everything that you've experienced in the last few hours. Even if you've just woken up, I suspect some of you have actually just woken up. So offer your sleep, offer your dreams, offer everything to the fire or to the mother. And do you have a sort of feeling of release? Any sort of feeling of release or liberation, catharsis? And look at the fire as well. See, is it actually intensifying? Is it growing? Is it expanding? Is it burning more brightly as you throw all these movements and patterns and thoughts and images and movements onto the fire? Because the more you throw onto it, the greater it rises. As it rises, your aspiration rises too. It's a cyclical process. Go back. Scan the last day. If any movements or experiences stand out over the last day, offer them too, to the fire. And you can look at the last 3 days as well, the last 3 days. any movements, patterns, any distortions, any wrong movements, anything that's contrary to your aspiration. Offer to the fire, throw it on the fire. And then you can look at the whole week. Your experiences over the whole week. Then a month. Any particular movements stand out over the past month? Throw them on the fire. And then look at the year, the whole year. There's one or two outstanding moments that you want to deal with now that have happened to you in the past year. Now's the chance. To bring them to a conclusion. And this work can be done always. This work can be done when you're walking down the street, when you're driving the car, walking the dog. It can be done always. As soon as a movement arises in you, a wrong movement, or even what you think is a good movement, but realize it's not quite so good. As soon as a movement arises within you, just catch it with your consciousness. Catch that movement with your consciousness. And bring the light of your consciousness onto that movement, the knowledge that is behind the consciousness, onto that movement, and offer it to the fire simultaneously. As soon as you catch it, offer simultaneously. Yeah? It's like a spontaneous reaction almost. You catch and offer at the same time. And this makes your sadhana almost continuous. And if you maintain your consciousness, keep your consciousness alive and awake, and attempt to keep it awake for 24 hours a day, your consciousness, there's marvelous possibilities for you to offer more and more to the fire or to the mother. So this in a nutshell is one of the practices and one of the central practices of self-purification. And it can be done 24 hours a day. One doesn't have to keep one's eyes closed. One just has to be conscious of the fire that's burning in you, even when you're in everyday activities, even when you're in public, or even when you're speaking to friends and relations. Just be conscious of this fire that's burning within you. And if you're conscious of it, you're really, really, really collaborating with the mother's work. It's such a beautiful opportunity. So very, very gently, keeping this presence, keeping this contact within your heart, close to your soul. You can gently open your eyes as we conclude the first practice. So, does anyone want to share anything? Some of you can put your videos on because, yeah, I'd like to see a few faces. Yeah. So, anyone want to share?
Yes, James. This was a very, very powerful practice and beautiful. Just very liberating. And well, as I kept throwing like thoughts and movements, and I can feel light inside me. So it's one of practice that if I can keep remembering and practicing, it's very, very liberating. Thank you.
Yeah, well, the light was increasing as you threw more and more onto the, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
It's just mother's practice. Maha, yeah. So, yeah. Anyone else? Okay. Okay, Abby. Yep. So another means of self-purification, and probably the most powerful one of all, is simply just to open ourselves to the grace, to the power, and to the force of the Divine Mother. And with this process that we've just done, there is, of course, a certain amount of effort involved. We need to apply effort. We need to apply to galvanize our aspiration. We need to apply considerable effort in stoking this fire. It's a question of remembering and offering and stoking the fire, constant remembrance, which is effort. But what we find with effort is that slowly, as time goes by, as we do this practice, as we continue our sadhana, something begins to take over. Something begins to assume control and mastery of our practice. And it's the hand of the mother that's doing that. Quietly, gently, easing the strain from our own hands and taking over our sadhana. And gradually the effort becomes a joy. Gradually the effort becomes a sense of supreme felicity. Such a joy, such a joy. And as that happens, and as our aspiration grows and develops and is nurtured by this process, as that happens, the effort eases and we move closer and closer to the sunlit path of surrender, true surrender. So the practice of self-purification that we've done with the fire of the Agni that's inside us can be done very, very nicely by the second practice. It's such a simple practice, really, the second one. So I ask you to close your eyes again. Close your eyes and invoke the presence, invoke the force, and open. Become a child in the mother's hands. Become transparent. Just open yourself to the mother. Don't hide anything from the mother. Just open everything. Every stain, every hidden corner, every cavern. Just open it all to the mother. Open everything to the mother. And just observe above your head and witness what's there. Just witness what's there. And you're working with a descending force, a descent from the mother and just put yourself in a perfect place of receptivity, open receptivity. Just become a clear channel for her to work through, for her to penetrate through, for her to saturate your entire being. And be conscious of your body at the same time. Open your body to the mother. Open your body to the mother. And just see what's happening as you open. Open every muscle, every tissue, every cell of your body to the influence of the mother, to the mother's light, to the mother's force. Open every aspect of your body to the mother. As you open your body, your entire psychology resonates with this movement. Your entire being resonates with this movement because your body can take the lead on this. It's an absolutely wonderful channel for working with the force. So your whole being is resonating with this force that's now saturating from head to toe. And allow yourself to be drowned, completely submerged and drowned by this wonderful light, this wonderful force of purification, this wonderful force that's cleaning everything, every part of your insides, every part of your nature, every part of your being, every part of your body. Everything is being so purified by the mother. And just witness and just surrender to this force. Just give yourself to this force. You don't have to do anything. Just surrender to the force of purification that's saturating your entire being. Feel the light and the force penetrating the tiniest parts of your being, as well as the whole of your being. Try and be conscious of the tiniest parts of your being and the wholeness of your being at the same time. Because the mother's force is working in minute detail, in a meticulous manner, as well as addressing the vastness of the whole. So be conscious of what's happening to your cells, your cellular consciousness. See the cells being drawn to the light. Any doubts there, any fears there? Any stains there, any darkness there? Being spontaneously transformed by this unbelievable work in detail from the mother's force. See your whole being being converted and purified towards the light. See your whole being identifying with the consciousness of the mother. Feel that, experience that identification. And just surrender. Give yourself entirely to her. See your whole being being surrounded and enveloped by a cocoon of white light. this cocoon of white light is something that the mother envelopes every one of her children with for protection and security and complete immunity. Complete immunity. Complete protection against anything that's adverse outside. So that no impurities can enter this cocoon of white light. So these two practices that we've experienced today can be used almost simultaneously, maybe one after the other. And I think they both complement each other very, very beautifully. And there's no hard and fast rules in this practice. We have to develop our own ways, our own practices ourselves. But this perhaps just gives an idea of something that you can work on. If you feel that they've resonated with you. So, very, very gently, very consciously, just gently keeping the connection, feeling the force still invading your being through the top of your head. Feel the force. Even when you open your eyes, still feel that force. Still present. Stay open. Stay open. Still. Maintain the practice with your eyes open. And when you go out throughout the day, be conscious of this force that's going through you, invading you. throughout your day. And stop a while as the day goes by. And be conscious of this force and open to this force throughout the day. Purifying your being, transforming your being, and nurturing your soul. So, does anyone want to share anything?
I'd like to share, James.
Sure, Alison.
Before this experience with you today, I used to connect with the mother in different ways. And one way I did was visualizing flowers blooming out of the top of my head and meeting the light coming down, which has always been a very beautiful experience for me. But this experience with you today made me brought into my awareness, oh my goodness, those flowers have roots and they're actually throughout my whole body. So I was able to, even when you started talking about the muscles and the cells, I was able to now recognize that, oh, this practice I've been doing is not just, you know, up here.
Yeah.
The roots provide nourishment from the light to my whole body and remove waste and then do the exchange of all the impurities. So thank you so much. I've had a really profound awareness and insight today and developed a new aspect to my practice that I can enjoy further. So thank you.
Okay, Alison. Yeah, I think we have to be very grounded in this yoga, because the body is like the last outpost of the transformation, you know? And
Yes.
it's the last crucible of the transformation. And it's not complete, the transformation, until the body is transformed. We have to work with the body. And what we also find is that when we're actually in the body throughout the day and not up in the clouds or not in our mind or our vital, we're in the body, we're actually more connected to the mother when we're in the
Yes.
body. It's very noticeable that. It's a very good way of going back to the mother, going back to the divine, is to actually go back to the body. Go back to the breath is another way. Go back to the body. It realigns us, because the body is a channel, you know. It's got lots of inertia and tamas, and but it's a wonderful channel, and the body is like represents a map of our entire psychology. Every part of the body that resonates, that produces a signal, is producing a signal from something inside us, from our entire psychology. So I do recommend working with the body, certainly. And also, when you're doing that, when you're working with the body, you're also subtilizing the body. You're making the body more subtle. You're bringing the subtle physical forward, and the gross body is also being gradually converted by the subtle body, the subtle physical, which makes it much more fluid and flexible and more aligned to the divine, much more of a divine instrument. So I certainly recommend working with the body. And anything that we see that manifests on the body while we're working on it, any distortion or defect or sense of darkness, can't be resolved by our consciousness at the time. By being attentive, non-judgmental, just observing and applying the consciousness to any sense of disruption to the flow of force that's coming from above. So, yeah. Anyone else want to share anything? No? Well, it's been a joy. It's been a wonderful experience for me as well. And thank you so much for attending this session and also attending all the other sessions as well. This is the end of the 10th and 2 more to come. And I hope this one hasn't been too bad for you. No last words? No?
James, the second experience was,
Kalpana?
sorry,
Kalpana, yes?
excuse me, James, sorry. You hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted
Yeah,
to say the
all
second
right. Yes, that was a beautiful way of going within. You took us through the entire process very nicely. And the one thing that I keep worrying about is at one level we say it's kind of an effortless process, and at another level we do put in efforts, like being conscious of everything, where there is an amount of effort put in, and but the instructions were beautiful, so it was like there was a nice flow, and beyond a point you're kind of not really thinking about the efforts anymore, and you are with the flow, and that I feel makes you feel more what is happening within when you let go of the efforts. The other thing is, I think there is a lot of emphasis. I mean, you said whichever tool that you want to use, like breath or visualization. The person talked about how she visualized the flowers, and that seems to be whichever way one wants to connect with that force and the fire within. I'm assuming that is okay. Whichever tool that one wants to use, because that is the initial. I feel personally, whenever I'm doing any work, I use breath, for example, a lot. Then that puts me within. So is that, okay to use any of the tools that we talk about?
Yes, the divine gives us many, many tools, and whatever really
Can you
resonates.
hear me?
Yes, I can. You're echoing a little bit.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
Now I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. I think the divine gives us many, many tools at our disposal, and we have to find what really resonates with us, because Aurobindo was never dogmatic in saying you must do this, you must do that in the path. He supplied a beautiful roadmap, and for instance, the synthesis of yoga. But he also says that each one must find their own way, their own practice, their own path, their own individual way. And that's the beauty of this yoga. There's no set rules. It's a question of really finding your own way. what resonates with you, and just keep, if you just keep the connection with the mother at all times, you'll never go up, you'll never go far away. Yeah.
All right.
And
Thank you.
effort is like, there's effort, remembrance is effort initially. You know, remembrance is effort. And as we stoke this fire of aspiration with continued effort, then the remembrance becomes almost spontaneous, continuous. And the
As
effort,
they say, it becomes
the effort
integral
desists.
part of your
Yeah.
body. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. And tomorrow we have Aditi call. So until tomorrow, wish you a pleasant day, pleasant evening. Namaste to you all. Bye, everyone. Bye.